what, maybe the HC fellow would be the best to kind of do the recruitment dry run, right? So things like that, which normally are very easy to come to you, might get lost in the flow of this year, right? So that's why this session has been special for me last year, because I've come back to it repeatedly. And what I want you all to also take away from this session is, this is just a start. The whole context of this session was, how do you give you all a start to what it means to facilitate, right? So that's how the start is going to be. And to ensure that those learning outcomes are met, there are some ground rules that we would have to follow, right? Because as a learner and as a facilitator, there are some community agreements of sorts that we would have to hold till the call is over, so that this is a good and fruitful experience for both of us, right? So quickly, I just wanted to quickly source ground rules from you all. What do you all think are the ground rules that we should follow for the call tonight? Your basic ones. You can start with the basic ones. Take notes.
Participation.
Meaningful participation. Prapti, do you want to explain what do you mean by meaningful participation, to just kind of expand it out?
Yeah, basically, if you say something, or if anyone of us want to share it, or we can put some other points into it, so it will be a meaningful participation, and all of us can learn something new and more.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that. Anything else? I think Shubham also touched upon being participative. Is that what you also meant, Shubham?
Ravi.
Cool. Take notes, Shivani says, and I want to touch upon that as well. Would someone like to take minutes of today's meeting and put it up in the group? Would anyone like to take that role?
I can.
Prapti, was it?
Yes,
Cool. I just saw that message also, Shubham. So Prapti can do this for this call. Maybe next call we can see for a different person. Is that okay? Cool. Embracing unlearning. That's a beautiful thing to say. And I really want you all to also be in that mindset, because I was in that mindset to sort of create this deck also, because the way I personally see facilitation is there's an art to facilitation, there's a science to facilitation, right? And this call, what we are going to focus on is the science of facilitation, if you want to call it that. For that, I'm just going to start sharing screen. Could you all give me a good to go by unmuting yourself if you can see the screen?
Yes. Good to go.
Yes, Praveen.
Good to go.
Yes.
Cool. So like I was mentioning, the context behind creating this was to sort of give you all the science behind facilitation. And why we also talk about art is, let's take an example of Sakshi. Sakshi has been one person I've seen through the year facilitate with a lot of narration, good storytelling, a lot of tonality. Siddharth, if I have to compare, also has his own kind of calmness. He's very good at sensing the audience, sensing the room. And even in cooking, if you compare, your mothers or the people that you passionately eat food from have their own styles, right? They add their own secret recipe, be it love or something like that. So similarly in facilitation, there is an art component of it where tonality comes into picture, where your own style of facilitation comes into picture. There's also the science component of it, which is really, where do you fit in as a facilitator? What are the skills that are needed? What are the knowledge components that are needed to facilitate? Right? So this call is going to focus a lot on giving you all the basics of the science component of facilitation. Is everyone clear so far with whatever we have discussed? Yes? Cool.
Yes, Praveen.
Thank you so much for putting it up on the chat box. That really helps. Cool. I wanted to kind of start this intro to facilitation with an intro to teams, right? We've all seen teams in multiple places. I want you all to think about some of the teams that you've seen around the world. Take 10 to 15 seconds to think about different teams that you've seen. Yeah. For this, I wanted to use an example of a football team. Football team has 11 people where each one has their own kind of role defined. However, they all have to come together to either defend or to score goals, right? Similarly, if you take surgery would have multiple teams involved. There'll be the anesthesiologist, there'll be the cardiac surgeon, there'll be the nurse team, which helps the surgeons with a lot of preparatory work and on surgery work and all of that. All of this happen in tandem, right? People don't need, there's no one who is like there who's telling, hey, did you do this? Hey, did you do that? All of this happen in like a self-organized, self-mobilized, high-performing sort of way. And these two are really good example of high-performing teams. However, not all teams are high-performing. And we're going to look at teams which are not high-performing also. And we're going to have two labels now. So we're going to name a team which you all think is high-performing as participatory. We're going to look at the opposite of that as conventional. Is that clear? We're going to use two labels now. One is participatory, one is conventional. Yeah. So over the next slides, I'm going to ask you all to put in the chat box either P or C, whichever you think this example is. I'm going to give you all a set of examples and you're going to put either P or C in the chat box, depending on if you think this is a characteristic of a participatory team or a conventional team. Is that clear? Cool. Okay. Everyone participates, not the vocal few. Is this a participatory team or a conventional team? Cool. It's a pretty straightforward one. The fastest thinkers and the most articulate speaker gets more time, airtime. Is this cool? I think you guys are pretty good at this. The next one is people interrupt each other on a regular basis. Is this P or C? C, 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 C. I see a lot of C's. People give each other room to think and get their thoughts out. P. Each member makes the effort to pay attention to the person speaking. P. There's no doubt on if this is a P or a C. Cool. Now, unless the speaker captivates people's attention, the speaker is like, boom, the speaker wants you to get out of the chair and really engage. Otherwise, people are just going to be like spaced out, videos off, doing their own doodling. Is this a P or a C? C? Okay. Cool. Last one is people have difficulty listening to each other's ideas because they are busy rehearsing what they want to say. Cool. Hamza is saying a little confused with the last one. Is this the one you're talking about, Hamza? People have difficulty listening?
No, the previous one where we spoke about the speaker captivating the crowd and them not being good.
Cool. So what we mean here is, again, it is okay to have like a different opinion also to this. What exactly are you confused about in this?
Well, like when I'm looking at this, this is something which basically happens at most of our meets, right? Like where there is a speaker who's talking to everyone, and we look at that as a participative team, right? Like, because we expect people to participate and we talk to people. And I feel like in this case, it is really the facilitator or the speaker who has to create that space where people don't space out and do it. So I think it's still a participative team, not a conventional one, but maybe the speaker or the facilitator just isn't able to really create that space.
Cool. That's a very valid kind of thought to have also. Cool. Have that thought in mind. So as we go forward with today's call also, I think that sort of will get expanded for you and everyone else. the final one, are we all clear on this one? If it's a P or a C? Cool. Yes. Okay, people. So I just wanted to kind of, because you've all been spot on in terms of what you feel like are the characteristics of a participatory team and what you think are the characteristics of a conventional team. So this is like a quick comparison, because in my year as a CTL and in my year as a person who's been through multiple meetings, I've seen some of these characteristics being displayed in different meetings that I've been a part of, in different teams that I've been a part of. So kind of just see these things and kind of observe the differences between the two teams that are on display. Sorry, was everyone done seeing that? Cool. Okay. Just wanted to get a sense check. Are you all with me so far? Yes. Could
Praveen,
someone summarize what? Yes, Akash.
Can you share the screen once? I have a question on the last part.
Yes.
So people have difficulty listening to each other's ideas because it's a personal trait, right? It's not something which reflects the whole team. This has to come from an individual who wants to concentrate on the opposite person, what he was saying. So
got it. Yeah, I will address that definitely once we get to the values of participation. Is that okay if I address it then? Cool. Okay, folks, can someone summarize so far in this call what we've seen? Unmute yourself and yeah.
Yes, we have seen so far that what is the difference between a participatory team and conventional team, and like if we respect the speaker and if we give each and every one the equal time to speak, and if we share our thoughts and we are able to give feedback, then that is the that is a participatory team. But on the other hand, vice versa, it is a conventional team.
Got it. Anybody wants to add anything to that? That was very, yeah, that was a good takeaway. Cool. So far, I'm sure you would have seen a lot of characteristics of different both the teams, right? Participatory teams and conventional teams, and it is perfectly fine at this point. You're still murky around these things. You might not be sure on, hey, is this actually the team's characteristic or is it an individual's characteristic, or where does exactly this fit in? To be a facilitator or to be any team player in general, like Akash mentioned, any person who is working in a team, it is kind of important to know what dynamics are in play in a team, right? So that is why as a facilitator, to even go, to even start facilitating, you need to kind of understand the group before you focus on yourself, on how you are going to facilitate and what skills you need to possess. Because a lot of what you're trying to achieve is going to be an outcome of a team. And if the team is not in sync with respect to these aspects, as a facilitator, there is only so much you can do, right? That is why we focused on that aspect of it. I'll come to the values behind all of this, right? For this, I'm going to quickly share screen again. Before that, I'll just quickly explain the 4 values. So these values are sort of core drivers of what we see in participative teams, right? Teams where the facilitator is kind of able to hold participation well have these 4 values. One is there is full participation, right? There is full participation. That is one value. What we mean by full participation, in a participatory group, all people are encouraged to say what is on your mind. I want you all to think about a time when you were in a meeting, when you had that first draft of an idea and you were like, hey, you know what, maybe this is stupid. I don't want to share this to the entire team. Has it happened to you before? Yes, yes, no, yes, cool. I see you, Sakshi. I see all of you. Cool. The next value, that the first value we saw was full participation, right? Teams which really have full participation as a value, group members are able to tell their first draft ideas. they become adept at discovering and acknowledging the diversity of opinions that the group holds, right? So that is what we see in teams which have this value of full participation. The second value that I wanted to talk to you all about is mutual understanding. This is very important because, again, the whole idea of today's call for me is to really know if you have taken in what it means to facilitate, right? The idea behind tonight's call is not to facilitate well personally. My job is done when you all take something away from this call, right? So I need to really understand if you are all like taking it in. I need to be in tune with how you're all feeling, right? So similarly, in a team also, the value of mutual participation is critical to participation, because when you have mutual participation, people are all really giving. Like, people really know what everyone wants to know. People really wait for everyone's thoughts to be completed before they can give in. They know that they will have space to kind of tell their own ideas and all of that. One more thing that will happen is the group's legitimacy of everybody has needs. Everybody, just like I have an idea and I want to convince everyone the agenda behind my idea, everybody in the group will have needs. So in a mutually understanding group, everybody understands that. The third value that we're going to talk about is shared responsibility. One quote that I wanted to kind of start with here is, people do not support what they don't help create. I want you all to think about it, right? Imagine there is a call or meeting where the leader or like the person who's driving the call completely takes it over. As a participant in that call, do you feel like you've helped co-create something? No, right? If you don't feel that, you will not help drive that decision. So the whole point of shared responsibility is particularly important in MAD, because a lot of the things that we do work only when everybody participates. So the fourth value is inclusive solutions. This again comes from the space of everybody has an equal piece of truth. My truth is not more important than your truth. Understanding that everybody has a piece of truth is where a facilitator or a group should come from. So, okay, what are the four values that we saw today? What was the first value?
Full participation.
Full participation. Second one.
Participation.
Understanding.
Third one.
Shared responsibility.
All right. Fourth one.
Inclusive solution.
Inclusive solution. That's pretty great. That's pretty great, people. So what we're going to do is, why these four are important for you all to understand is, you need to really understand the dynamics that are going on in a group. And like Akash mentioned, a lot of how the group participates is down to the individual also. So if your teammates or if your group people also understand that these are the values you hold as a team when you're discussing something, and if you drive these, again, in MAD, we have the 3 MAD values, but we don't tell them in every conversations we have, right? We drive them through everything we do. We exemplify them through everything that we do. So Akash, coming to your point, these values, if they are exhibited in calls, in participatory meetings, they will automatically shape how individuals behave. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, we will understand this a little better now. To do that, we are going to, I'm going to quickly screen share. I just realized that I've stopped screen share. Cool. These are the 4 core values of participatory groups that we saw. Cool. Now we're going to have a role play activity. So we are going to go into 4 breakout rooms, and each group is going to take 1 value, right? Group 1 is going to take full participation. Group 2 is going to take shared responsibility. 3 is mutual understanding. 4th is inclusive solution, right? Is that clear? Group 1 is full part. Yeah, just a second. Sakshi, Sid, could you help me with what is happening in the chat?
Yes. We are all saying yes.
Cool. Okay, I put quotes in the next slide. Let me see if the quotes are matching with this format, and we'll go with the quotes actually. So the idea, guys, is we're gonna have 4 groups. We're gonna do a role play. We're not gonna do a role play of what will happen if these are met, but we're gonna do a role play of what will happen if these values are not there, right? So group 1 is gonna do a role play of to protect themselves. People censor themselves, right? For example, to feel safe, to feel like I'm feeling safe, I'm going to censor what I'm saying. I'm not going to fully be vulnerable to the group, right? This is the group 1's quote. This is full participation group. The group 2 is I can't really focus on what you're saying until I feel that you understood my point of view, right? This is mutual understanding. This is group 2's quote. Group 3, it's either my way or your way. It's either my way or the highway, right? It's either my way or your way. This is group 3's quote. And group 4, you're going to do people don't support what they don't help create, right? So the idea behind this role play is you have to go into your breakout rooms and for the first 3 minutes, you're going to brainstorm on why this happens, why people don't fully participate, right? Why people are not mutually understanding of each other, why inclusive solutions are not found. For the first 3 minutes, you're going to discuss why this is not happening in a group. Okay. For the next 3 minutes, for the next 4 minutes, okay. For the next 4 minutes, you're going to quickly build a role play, which will come up to 1 minute of this not happening. You are in a group meeting and this value is not followed. How will it look like? That's the role play. I'm just going to stop share. Is everyone clear? Cool. What are we going to do for the next 4 minutes in the breakouts?
We're going to have a role play where we're going to simulate a situation where this is not being fulfilled.
This is not being met, right? Cool. Prepare for a role play. That will be for 1 minute. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Yes. Are you all ready to participate? Yes. Are you all up for it? Cool. Sakshi, are you ready with the breakouts?
Yes, I'm very much ready, and only I know who's going to which group. Okay, I'm very excited to see what all of you will create. So here you go. You will see the pop-up, and you'll also see the timer. Now we won't go on and flash 16 seconds left. You'll see the timer and you'll come back according to that.
Back, everyone.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Cool.
Your nervous smiles. Pre-performance. Pressure.
The stage is set. Anxiety max. The stage is set. Okay. Cool. Let's get started. Group 1, would you like to do the honors and do this Broadway theater show for us on what happens when there's no participation?
Okay.
One second before that, can all the others who are not part of group 1 keep your videos off so that we are able to just see them? Whoa, that's cool.
Wow.
Okay.
Should we start?
Yes.
Okay, so our role play is based on if to protect themselves, people censure themselves. So the situation is that it's a fellow team meeting, and we're discussing sourcing. Okay, so guys, I was thinking that we could go to the Civil Service Academy nearby and do some sourcing there. What do you guys think about that?
Can we go to my college? My college has these great volunteers and.
Yeah, but about the Civil Service Academy, the people there are really willing to, do service. That's why they're studying for civil service. So, it would be great.
I'm good with whatever. I really don't care.
I think we should try other colleges.
Yes, I think we should try other colleges also, because I think now they will be preparing for their civil service exams. So I think they won't be interested in doing more than what they can at this point of time, as they are packed with their exams.
Yeah, but they are really interested in doing civil service, right? So that's why we should be focusing on civil service aspirants.
I don't know. I mean, do we even have the time to do like go over there? I don't know. I mean, if we put in the efforts, will we get the right number of people as well?
I think the Civil Service Academy would be a great idea.
Yeah, we can just get on with it.
All right, fine, we'll do it.
So, yeah, that's it.
Cool. That was awesome. Everybody can turn your videos back on. That was awesome, Team 1. Could you quickly explain your thought behind this?
Okay, so our thought behind this was people would not express themselves if they feel unheard for, or their point is not, their point is not taken, or the person feels like, the facilitator feels like they are very adamant, they just want to do what they want to do and don't really care what people are bringing in. The point that you said, right, during the discussion.
Well done, well done. I even noticed how Rabia was not active throughout this thing, and just at the end, was that planned?
We'll say it was.
It was really good. Like that's well done. And like the whole Sarah, like the whole swag of I don't care.
Okay, I think.
Kudos, Team 1. Okay, Team 2 takes the stage. Next, shall we all bow them and go off video?
Yep.
Okay, so we were Team 2, and our core value is mutual understanding. So we will be simulating a kind of a role play where I'm facilitating about my experience of pinging my city director, and every one of us will be adding on to that. So yes, guys, like when we were assigned, when we were confirmed that our city directors, so myself and my co-CTL made this really beautiful poster for us, and we sent it to him. He was really, really happy looking at it. What do y'all think? Is this a good idea? Is this something even y'all can go ahead and do it?
Well, I think it's a very boring idea because I also talked to my city
No, but
director.
how can you think it's a boring
Why
idea?
do we have to
It is
do
very
it?
boring.
No,
No,
it's not.
Okay,
No, but
I
why?
think there is.
Guys, I also
Guys,
have
guys.
I mean, you should have added more elements. Others.
You could have added something else. No, you could have just made a video or something.
But guys,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he
That's
was
so
really happy.
boring.
For a change, I agree with me.
Others, this is not done. I mean, how your city director
Just
would
send
be
him a
feeling?
picture or send him something to eat. No.
Yeah, well, why
How-
did you make such a
How
big
can I
post?
send him something to eat in this lockdown? I am telling you all, he was happy.
Why? Swiggy is there. No, you can just do it.
Wait,
You
we
know,
want
food
to
stalls-
make it
food
more
stalls are
special.
open.
Others, you could have made it more special.
Yeah, and nobody's even listening to me. I'm trying to tell my next point.
I'm also Soumya.
Yeah. So I'm saying that I was messaging my city director, and then I couldn't get her to talk to her over the last 3 days. But then I'm going to talk to her in the evening
What?
today.
Arey, but
Oh,
I was
what?
talking
Like,
about my
Of
director.
course,
But
you're
we're
so
talking about
busy,
something else,
and
no?
everyone is working and you're not doing anything.
That's
Cool. Are you all seeing the chat box also?
Yes,
It's very tough to not get distracted by all the awesome comments you're receiving. Well done, Team 2. I would like to open out for anybody else to kind of tell their thoughts on how Team 2 did, what you noticed. Does anybody want to take a shot at what you noticed when Team 2 was doing things?
I think everyone was trying to put their point forward instead of understanding what the other person was trying to say. So maybe that was the thought behind it.
Yeah. And what happened when that happens? Are you able to make sense of anything that is going on?
No. Yeah, that's what. So it creates a chaos when nobody is willing to listen and understand the other person.
True. Well done, team 2. Your objective has been met on trying to explain to us what it means when nobody's understanding each other. Anybody else has any takeaways before we move on to team 3? Cool. Can we move on to team 3? Okay, team 3. Wow, everybody's switching off videos before I tell.
All right, so we are presenting the role play for shared responsibility. I'll be coming up with a statement like which I took without consulting the team. So yeah, people like I've been thinking, and I spoke with the shelter authorities that I'm planning to change the classes, shift classes from Saturday to Sunday, because a lot of college students have colleges on Saturday, and they won't. It won't be convenient for them to come to shelters post their colleges.
I think, Akash, with my experience of 3 years, I think it'll be really cool to not change the class timings, and this won't work out. What do you guys think?
Exactly my point. Because I don't have college. I don't have college on Saturdays. I can go to
Nachiket, only you are there are there are other handful of colleges which have classes on Saturday.
Akash,
it's everyone. My college is not like that. I don't have college.
No, Nachiket, I spoke with a lot of volunteers who has colleges on Saturdays. So we have to.
So what? I don't have college. I should go at that time.
Akash, I have experience. I'm telling you, this won't work.
Yep. And Akash, I work. So even I don't have work on Saturdays. So I think I can also come on Saturdays, and there are working people as well.
Experience, guys. I'm telling you, I have experience. You don't listen to me.
Excuse me. I have work on Saturday, but I am not available.
Guys, I'm your senior, guys. Listen to me once.
No.
Trying out how can you?
No, I have work on.
Either my way or your
way. We have to try this.
I'm going.
No. It's either my way or your way.
No, it's not working.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you all quickly come on video, everybody? Cool. Awesome. Team 3, there's a different sort of question I want to ask you all. What is your theme, the value?
Shared responsibility. Either my way or your way. Yeah.
What do you all think are the reasons why teams don't exhibit this value? What do you all think are the reasons?
So we thought of various reasons behind this, and one of them was that if one person is too enthusiastic or too motivated towards one thing because they feel that it might work, then they tend to not understand what the other person is trying to say. They tend to just ignore what the other person is trying to say, and hence the team loses interest in what is happening.
Okay.
Also, like every person has their own ideas, and they try to pursue their ideas instead of listening to others more.
True.
And also, like every person will have a different way of looking at things. So yeah, he'll try to come up with his own ideas based on the way he looks at the things. Almost similar to what Shubham has mentioned.
True. And that both of your points are really fascinating in the way that it really opens one point, right? We need to really inculcate the humility that a team's thinking is better than an individual's thinking, because there's so much that comes in. And it is also important to follow through that thought with actual processes that will ensure everybody gets to play a role, right? Processes, I mean, it could be anything like rotating facilitators for a city call once a certain time has passed. It could mean different project managers for different events. This really inculcates a shared sense of responsibility that this is also something I want to do. This is also my child of sorts. This project, this mobilization is also something I'm excited to do, right? So this is not just important in terms of your words. It's important to create processes that will exhibit this. That is something I want you all to take away. One more thing is, shared responsibility comes when there is excitement. When I am excited to take something up, I'd be really happy to drive it, right? And everything, if you have the autonomy and if you have like creativity attached to it, they will be exciting to people. So as facilitators, one thing to also figure out is how to create a story to make things exciting, to make tasks also seem really for what they are. Like they are exciting, they have creative potential that can be utilized, right? That is something I wanted to just quickly mention. Anything?
Can I add?
Huh.
Yeah. Involving all the stakeholders when a topic is going to discuss, like they'll have their own opinions, or they have their more better experience and better way of looking at things. Like for example, I just wanted to give an example here. Like in our role play, if we involve shuttle support fellow or if we involve shelter operations fellow, he'll have a different opinions of on ground realities. So
yeah, I'm so glad you're able to see this. And sometimes the fact that everybody's opinion is important is very obvious. For example, in a case where you don't have a competence of finance, you would naturally reach out to the finance fellow. However, as a facilitator and especially as a CTL, it is important to not be a Gyan Baba and kind of hold back and know that everybody is an expert in their own domain and everybody needs to speak out, right? So I hope you're all internalizing this thought also. With that, we are going to quickly move on to the next superstar team, which is team 4. I think they're doing something with names already. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, team. We need to start and get worked for the recruitment drive. Let's decide the flow that we'll be, working in. And but before you put on your ideas, I would like to say that we'll be doing the recruitment dive on Sunday, and we'll be doing in the steps that I've explained you in the message. So would you explain my points?
Whatever you think is right, Mansi.
Oh, I'm the mind of Manjit.
Okay, so
so I don't know if what's my role of ownership here in this recruitment drive. So let me not contribute anything, and let's think of what is the next Netflix show I should binge watch, and should I take part today because Sunday? Yeah.
It is
okay, so let me see.
Yeah, it is important for us to recruit the volunteers as soon as possible, or else there's going to be huge pressure on the Ed support team, shelter team, to take care of the children and to answer to the shelter authorities. So it is important for us to plan activity as soon as possible without delays.
If these guys not listen to what I just said, like I've already planned it out, I've already put out a message saying what needs to be done. You can just discussing something else. What is going on?
Yeah, so that's it.
Love the use of chat also. These people should just listen to what I have to say. Cool. Thank you so much for that, Team 4. That was very, very refreshing. And I have the same question. Could one of you explain like the thought behind you doing this?
Yeah, so the idea was that each one of us would be one fellow, like HCTR head, and the other 3 would be the minds of these fellows. So they're basically saying something out loud, but then they're thinking something else on the inside. So when the HC fellow is like giving out instructions and nobody's listening, he's like, what is wrong with these people? And at the same time, the head support wants to say something, and he's like, why is this person not listening to my requirement? Like recruitment's coming up, we obviously know best what's required. So that was the idea behind it.
Did anyone also figured this out when they were doing this whole mind and body thing? This is extremely creative. Cool. Any thoughts which anyone has that anyone wants to share? This is a space to simply tell anything.
Yeah, so as a quote explains that people don't support what they don't help create. So the HC fellow was like HC fellow image that I've planned everything. So why would the other participate and why would the other support? Like we say that some people think that it's a give and take relationship. So if I will not, I will not be having a small part in it, I will not be able to help in what the recruitment drive will be. So fellow, like if he has planned everything, let him do all the things. Why would I help? If he says to do this, I'll do that, and no matter what.
Makes sense.
So it would help, building the whole thing correctly.
True. Thank you for sharing that. And Ilango has also raised a very, I think he's also tried to sum it up in the comments. Cool. Because I would love to hear all of your thoughts and like keep this discussion going. One thing that I also wanted to kind of speak about in terms of inclusive solutions, right? That is one particular topic that was there, and I wanted to kind of explain that a little more. It is kind of tricky as a facilitator to really reach inclusive solutions, because I'm sure in math classes, I am guilty of this personally. When one person or one child or two children are in a class of 6, one child is not really participative, you kind of let go sometimes. No, this class, it's okay. Let him learn through his own pace. I'm just going to focus on the other children. However, being inclusive also means trying to create a space where everybody's decision is built on top of each other. And it's very tricky to start doing this, because at first glance, it might seem like everybody's coming from crossroads and their interests are not really matching. However, a skilled facilitator tries to see what is common between these two and kind of sees how to take that space there, right? So inclusive solution doesn't just mean including everybody in discussion. That is like obviously the first step. Inclusive solution also means that the solution that the group arrives, be it a recruitment date, be it a mobilization plan, is inclusive of everybody's own creative inputs and is greater than the sum of parts is greater than individual parts, right? That is what inclusive solutions truly mean. Cool. I'm really happy with how this came out, to be honest. I hope all of you had fun in these 4 role plays. And I'm just going to do a quick check on so far in this masterclass, how much do you think you've been able to grasp on a scale of 1 to 5? If you could quickly give me an indicator in the chat box on whatever we've gone through. You've understood everything perfectly is 5. I've understood it a little bit is 1. I've not understood anything is 1. I'm there about is between. Where would you rate yourself? 4, 4.5, 4. All right. Cool. Thank you so much. All right. So I feel like that's good enough space for us to move on to the next part, right? It is important for us to kind of really understand the part that we discussed, for us to really nail the next part. That's why I kind of got a sense check from you all. Really happy to know that you're all kind of learning by asking and all of that. Keep doing that. And I also especially invite people who have not been able to participate a lot over the last 2-3 weeks to kind of participate now. Because like the check-in that we did, ultimately you are sat in this room listening to me talk because you want to learn, right? Because you want to grow and become good at something. So use this space to also sort of bring out what is in you. So people who have not had the opportunity to talk, going forward, please do so. Is that okay, everybody? Awesome. The next part, I'm going to screen share. Cool. Are you all able to see my screen? Yes. Okay, folks. So it was very important for us to understand the dynamics of a group, kind of understand where a facilitator fits in, right? Because for a facilitator, you are a teammate. You are a person in a team. As a facilitator, what you do is you create a space to ensure that there is full participation. As a facilitator, you promote mutual understanding. As a facilitator, you kind of create that shared responsibility. As a facilitator, you kind of hold space for inclusive solution. This is what you do as a facilitator in a participatory group, right? And how would you do that as a facilitator? We're going to talk about mindsets that are required to do this, and then we're going to go into the skills that are required to do this. We're going to give a couple of examples for the skills that may come in handy, right? Again, now to explain the mindset part, what are we going to do without an activity, right? We're going to do an activity again, and this activity is going to be one-on-one. So this is a space for you to talk to another CTL, and the prompt here is one thing. Is Sakshi here?
Yep, and I'm ready for the pairings.
All right, thank you, Sakshi. So the prompt here is one thing that you've been struggling with recently, right? The prompt is something that you've been struggling with recently. Okay, so you're going to talk to the CTL that you're paired to about this for 3 minutes, right? And then the other person is going to talk about it for 3 minutes. I mean, it doesn't mean that you'll only be talking for 3 minutes. The conversation overall is for 6 minutes, right? So you guys decide how you want to space it out. But the prompt is something that I've been struggling with recently. All right. Is everyone ready to go into breakout rooms? Cool. Over to you, Sakshi.
Thank you.
You have 6 minutes for this, folks.
Yes, and the rooms are open.
I think she's close to the...
Yes. Welcome back once again, everyone.
Welcome back, folks. Cool. Let me quickly share screen. Before that, did you all get to have a conversation? Yes? Okay. I'll quickly share screen. Cool. Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Just talk to each other. Now, I want you all to kind of take your note because we're going to be using a little bit of note. If you're already not taking notes, this will be a good chance to take your note. And we will be doing something called inventory. An inventory is a facilitation style where you ask the participant to kind of write on their own about things, right? So we'll be doing something called an inventory. Now, I'm going to be asking you what your key observations are from this process. First, start by writing how the call was, like 1 or 2 sentences on how you felt it went. Once you're done with that, give me a thumbs up. Just a couple of sentences. Are you all done? Okay. Cool. I'm just waiting for more thumbs ups. Shivani. Cool. Neha, are you done? Cool. Awesome. Now, in any conversation, there is this framework of how we approach a conversation, which says that there are 4 types of response that you give in a conversation like this, right? You either criticize, or you give advice, or you empathize, or you search. I'm quickly going to give an example of this. Criticize is when I say I have a fever, my dad saying it's because you ate the ice cream. That's why you have the fever. Advice is when he says, you know what, I think you should stop eating a lot of cold products. I think that's why you're getting all of this. Empathize is when my dad says, oh, is that so? Since when are you feeling like this? Or if my dad says, is that so? It must be tough, right? Because you've been working and you also have a fever, that must be tough. Searching is when he wants to understand a little more and asks, hey, how long have you been feeling this way? what have you done already, what are you trying to do, and all of that. Now I want you all to kind of put your conversation on how you responded when the other person talked, how your mind responded, in fact, taking the cue from team 4 on where were you when the other person was talking. Which among these 4 quadrants was your mind going? Were you going to was your mind going to an advice space or an empathize space or a searching space? Cool. All right. We can take a one share if anybody wants to share on how this experience was and what they realized. Does anybody want to go?
Okay, I'll go. So I was paired with Sakshi, and I think in the entire conversation, like both ways, I think it turned out to be a very empathizing conversation. Like we also kind of realized it at one point. We're like, you know, we both are like connecting so much with each other, like we're feeling the same thing, and we weren't sure where to take the conversation further. Like, are we supposed to think about how to get over this like a solution, or do we just rant and empathize and be like, okay, yeah, we're both in the same space. So yeah, that was how it went, kind of.
Right. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Hamza. All right, folks. With that, there'll be a session done again on how to take these conversations forward and what kind of how do you navigate through each of this. For now, what I wanted to say in terms of mindsets for a facilitator is focus on empathizing, searching rather than criticizing or advising as a facilitator, right? Next mindset as a facilitator is to hold space for everyone. This is a term which I hold very close to my heart because this is a term we hear a lot in MAD, outside MAD. You're a facilitator. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to hold space for everyone. What does hold space mean? What do you hold for everybody? So what we mean by hold space is, again, now when I say all of these, I want you all to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 in your notebooks itself. This is not for anyone else to see. When I say a prompt, rate yourself presently on where you stand. First point in holding space, allowing someone to try something new. Do you always allow people to try something new without fear of failures? Do you have patience and wait till giving solution, or do you jump to giving solutions for problems? Are you being a conscious role model? Conscious role model. Just a second, I'll quickly see the chat. All right. Are you being a conscious role model in that? Are you being vulnerable yourself? Are you being authentic yourself? Are you exhibiting the values that the team has to display as a facilitator yourself? Are you bringing your own authentic self? Are you bringing your own authentic self to the discussions that you have with people? Are you reflecting your own behavior and role constantly? Are you someone who kind of is mindful of their own behaviors and reflects on it? Folks, this 6 points is what we mean by holding space. And as a facilitator and as a CTL, you'll be holding space for your teams, right? So do constantly check up on how you're performing, how you are going on each of these aspects throughout the year. And when I started my journey, I was not really good at a lot of these components. I didn't even know how to hold space, what it means to hold space for someone. So try to see and constantly reflect on all of these points. This is what I want to say in terms of holding space. The next mindset as a facilitator is to be a neutral person. So far, we've discussed so much about the science of facilitation, right? As a facilitator, your chief job is to be aware of these things, how the group dynamics are going on, how space is being held for everyone, how each one in the group is performing. That is your primary job. Your secondary job is also to give inputs, but you need to distinguish when you're doing both, right? So being a neutral person and not taking sides is important. When you do have an opinion, do input it as an equal participant. Do not input it as a CTL or a facilitator, but input it as a CTL and a co-fellow when the discussion is going on. One more thing in terms of mindset is the concept of physical space and the concept of being aware is very important. How energetic is the audience that you're facilitating to? Is everyone feeling bored? Are you really getting a hang of if they are all understanding what you're saying? Are they excited to move on to the next section? Or do they want to continue this part a little more? Do they really understand? Look out for subtle cues. Look out for body language. The body language that the things that you do when you're bored, the things that you do when you're restless are the same things that people will do when they exhibit these things. So as a facilitator, it's important to be aware of space. As a facilitator, it is important to maintain safe space. I know all of us did a whole lot of banter for the role play, but I know that you all also know that when it comes to an actual discussion, people's safety is prior, because only if people feel a sense of safety in a team, they will share without inhibition, right? I think by now you would have really gotten a sense of how important safe space is. So maintaining safe space is important. This is something I found interesting and I wanted to explain a little bit. What a facilitator does is the facilitator understands that every group has different kinds of people. If you see the first graph on top, this narrow part in the center is the ideas expressed in acceptable communication styles. What are acceptable communication styles? When Akash asked that question, and Hamza, you also asked that question, isn't it the responsibility of a speaker to kind of put it in a very captivating manner? That is acceptable communicating style for the learner, right? As a facilitator, we create a space where what is acceptable. People who are stuttering are also accepted. People who are emotional are also accepted. People who are not able to articulate it in the first go, people who need more time to explain their idea are also accepted. That kind of space is created by the facilitator, right? Now, this mindset can be helped by a set of skills. We will now go into that skills. What are those facilitation? We just looked at mindsets, and I just wanted like a quick recap before we move on. Could anyone sum up the broad concepts we saw in mindsets? The broad ones.
Can I go?
Yes.
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Shivani and then Mansi, if you want to take it from there also.
Yeah. Okay. So we discussed 6 points with respect to the mind space that the facilitator should have. The first one was to have an empathizing and searching mind space rather than going with advising or criticizing. The second one was to hold space for everyone. That is to allow people to try something new, not jump to solutions. Go with the mindset of actually listening to the person and not trying to problem solve. We have to be a conscious role model, because if people tend to follow what the facilitator is behaviors and trying to say, and try to bring one's authentic self forward, so that authenticity goes a long way, like we also heard in the previous calls. And we should also be come from a space where we are ready to reflect upon ourselves, to understand our behaviors and our role in the system. And we keep these 5 points in mind, we are able to create a space. And the third point in the mindset that we discussed was to be a neutral person, to not have a bias when having a discussion, not letting your opinion cloud what you're trying to create. Yes, I'll give it over to Mansi for the next 3.
Yeah, so continuing with that, after being a neutral person, you should not be as a CTL in the group. You should participate equally like other fellows, like others, and you should not hold a position. Okay, I'm the CTL, and that you should be aware of the space. That if your facilitation is making someone bore, and notice their body language, think of what you might feel if something boring was going on. So you need to notice that all the points. And last is maintain a safe space. That is the most priority. Like you are in a safe space. So yes.
Thank you both for helping us all kind of refresh. I saw everyone kind of refreshing their own notes and nodding in agreement. So really great to see all of that happening. Cool. With that, we're going to move to the next part. What is the next part?
Facilitation skills.
Skills. We just looked at mindsets. Now skills, and we have some a format of doing this. We are going to do like a demonstration of different skills. But before that, I'm going to quickly share on exactly where we are at. So in terms of facilitation skills, the first facilitation skill that would go a long way is listening deeply, right? So how do you listen deeply? For that, there are different kinds of techniques. And we're going to take examples of 4 or 5 techniques that as a facilitator you can use to listen deeply and help kind of broaden what the group accepts as good communication, right? For this, I'm going to welcome my co-facilitators for this part, Sakshi and Siddharth. We're going to first start with paraphrasing. Sakshi, do you want to start?
Yes. Sakshi and Siddharth both need to start. Okay. Yes, we'll start, and now our act begins.
Right. So just to give a little context, this conversation is actually going to be around a discussion of recruitment, right? Consider it a conversation within a fellow team meeting. And so yeah, that is how the enact is going on. So just try to observe what's going on. So Sakshi, I was thinking, since there are a lot of requirements for volunteers this year, maybe we can have lots of maybe recruitments this year.
Let me see if I'm understanding you, Siddharth. I think what you are saying is we should aim at doing parallel recruitment drives.
All right. Thank you for the demonstrations, Siddharth and Sakshi. Does anyone want to say what they observed that Sakshi particularly did? This is paraphrasing, right? This is the skill that we are talking about. What did you notice?
Yes, I think Sakshi, in a way, repeated what Siddharth said, but in a different set of words. So even Siddharth felt that okay, he was heard and understood, and that both of them had the right understanding of the point.
Awesome. That's a great start. Anybody wants to add anything that they felt interesting?
So another thing that I observed here was the person who's like, in this case, Siddharth, must have gotten a lot of reassurance that this person's understood my point. And just repeating that creates that sense of, that both of them are on the same page and you can move ahead.
Yeah. Sure. So, very good point also, Hamza. She also added what she thought Siddharth meant, right? In paraphrasing, it is also important that we specify that this is what we think, right? So that is paraphrasing, asking, like telling someone what they said in the way you understand so that they feel hurt. Whatever you all said, I'm just going to move on to the next part because you covered it really well. So that is paraphrasing, right? You can do paraphrasing by doing things like, do you mean to say, starting sentences like this? Am I understanding you clearly in that, right? That you can do. Siddharth, is this what you meant? That, right? So these are words you can use to kind of paraphrase. The next deep listening skill that we're going to look at is drawing people out. And I'm going to again request Siddharth and Sakshi to demonstrate.
Okay, now our act will begin from here. Let me see if I'm understanding you, Siddharth. I think what you are saying is we should aim at doing parallel recruitments.
Yes, Sakshi. So what I meant is we should be doing more number of recruitments as well as the parallel recruitments at the same time.
Siddharth, could you elaborate what you meant earlier by more number of requirements?
All right. So this is drawing people out. What did you all observe?
Asking the follow-up questions so that we're able to understand the situation better.
Yes, asking a follow-up question. What else did you notice?
Not giving a thought like what Siddharth said, and not just giving a solution to it, but asking them to elaborate it more and give the solution to that. If they are asking something, then giving them the opportunity to give the solution, and not just giving the solution to ourselves. Okay, you asked for it, this is the solution.
Sure. All right. That's another good point. Namita, you wanted to tell something?
No, it was the same thing.
Cool. Did you all notice the body language she had when she wanted to draw Siddharth out? Did it tell you that she was curious? Right? So as a facilitator, it's important. Soumya, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that how she leaned forward and she was like, okay, you can tell me more about that. So that meant that she wanted to know more.
Yeah. So it meant that she was not just asking for the sake of it, but she was genuinely curious, right? So that is, curiosity is a big concept behind drawing people out, because you genuinely want to know what people are not trying to, nobody wants to waste time. People genuinely mean something. They may not have the best words to put it at times. So you want to draw people out to help them elaborate on their own words. That's skill number 2. Skill number 3 is something we're going to look at now. Hey Siddharth, the skill act starts now. Hey Siddharth and Sakshi, could you both explain your points on how we can go about the recruitments this year?
I think according to me,
so what I feel is, the
folks,
recruitment drive is
just a
something.
second. Is it okay if Siddharth goes first and Sakshi then you, so that we both hear both of us?
Sure, Praveen.
Cool. Act over. What did you notice here?
You had like even when they were talking over each other, you made sure that both of them were heard in a way that didn't make either of them feel left out.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Anything else?
I think,
why is it called stacking? Sorry about that. Yeah.
I think it was conveyed very positively and not like, okay, calm down, and did not go to a negative.
Sure. That's definitely one. One more point is, think about the word stacking. Why is this skill called stacking?
Because I think, Praveen, you mentioned that Siddharth can go ahead first and then Sakshi can, so that it made it more clear for them to understand who speaks first.
Right? Yeah.
Adding on to what all these points, stacking can also give us the benefit of building up on each other's points, which could again, enhance the quality of the discussion that we're having.
Beautiful point. That's very true. Are you like creating order and chaos? Something like that. Attempting at doing something like that. Help streamline. So what also happens when you do stacking is, as a person who wants to convey an opinion, I'm anxious because now someone else is going. I don't know if I'll get the chance to speak my mind out, right? So as a facilitator, I'm putting the person at ease, saying, hey, after this, you will get a chance to, like, your turn will come. So you can use this space to clearly listen to the other person, right? So you see how all these skills are kind of tying to your initial values that we were talking about, right? So that is the third skill. The fourth skill is summarizing. Does anybody want to take a shot at summarizing? Summarizing is basically, does anybody want to summarize what we've learned through these skills, what we did? I'm asking you all if anybody would like to summarize.
Can I go?
Yes.
Okay, so I think Praveen, you were talking about facilitation skills, and one of the skills that you mentioned was to listen deeply. And you told us about how different components like paraphrasing, drawing out from a mindset of curiosity and stacking can help us help the other person feel heard for and makes the conversations more meaningful.
So that's exactly summarizing. So summarizing is critical when you're having a discussion, because it kind of puts a stop to one theme of discussion and we can begin the next theme. For example, hey Siddharth and Sakshi, we were discussing about recruitments. You both had raised this points. Now we've all agreed that we're going to do this. Cool. Can we move on to the next one? You see how this creates like a flow to the discussion. So that's what summarizing does. The next one that we're going to do is making space for a quiet person. Right now. Yes.
How to me, like summarizing and paraphrasing kind of seem a little bit similar. So how would you exactly differentiate between the two?
All right. Does anybody else have an answer to that? Does anybody else want to take a shot?
Me?
Go for it.
Okay. So just my attempt. I think paraphrasing comes from a space where we are questioning, like trying to question, okay, is that what you meant, or am I right in understanding this particular thing that you mentioned? And summarizing is like talking about a summary of all the points that were discussed so that we can come to a conclusion with that discussion and move forward, like you mentioned.
True.
I think.
Yeah, that is on point. Is that clear?
Yeah, got it. Thank you, sir.
Cool. Okay, next skill that we're going to quickly talk about is making space for a quiet person. In a lot of teams, you will come across people who are a little quiet. And this is nothing to say about being quiet is not good or bad. It's just that you will come across this. I'll give you all an example of a recruitment, which is going to be the act now. I see Sakshi, who's being part of the balloon tower activity, and she's not telling her views. So I'm going to ask Sakshi. Sakshi, do you have any views on what this activity meant for you?
Thank you for asking, Praveen. I would like to share my views, and now I'm sharing my views. And meanwhile, what is going on in my mind is, oh my God, he noticed I'm nervous. I feel valued. MAD is a good place. Even if I don't get selected, I like how he's making me feel right now. And so I'm going to share more. Back.
Did you all get that? Right? So, okay, I'm going to just move on from there because I think it's pretty clear. And quickly talk about one more skill. I'm just going to give an example. One more skill that as a facilitator you can employ is encouraging. Encouraging is when you sort of invoke more responses, right? When I told you all, would anybody like to answer Hamza's question? I encouraged you all to kind of self-participate, right? That's encouraging. So do also have like a meta look at this whole session itself and see what is employed where, what you can take, right? Cool. With that, we're going to quickly move to the next section. I'm going to screen share again. All right. Now, before, this is going to be like a knowledge part, so I'm just going to run through, just take notes of this and see what you can take away, right? So before you now start your first meeting as a facilitator, be prepared. Be prepared in terms of the intention, purpose, and agenda. For CTLs, the agenda of FTMs will be shared every month. So do that is something we hold very close. So do try and stick to the core of what we are trying to achieve for that month, right? So that is the agenda. Aim for clear decisions and actionables before a meeting, right? Why are we having that meeting? What should come out of that meet? Next, identify the whole flow. What do you want to, this is again from the last week's masterclass. What is the framework? What do we want the user to feel at every point? This especially comes in handy for FTMs when you want people to feel different things, right? Identify and create the flow. During the discussion or session, what would you do? Check-ins. Check-ins kind of set the tone of where you want the people to be, and as a facilitator, you get to hold and create that tone, right? Set context. So I started this whole conversation by setting context on this is going to be a science of facilitation, and you add in the art of facilitation, right? So that sort of gave in a good start for you to sort of build everything. Next is time boxing. Now, as a facilitator, I know that there are 10 minutes left. I want to do like an activity, so I'm kind of quickening this part because I know it'll go in anyway, right? So that is kind of time boxing and being aware of that. Stick to agenda. There is a reason why agendas are created, right? That they are created out of a bigger picture of the org. So please ensure that you do stick to the agenda. Ensure that the discussion is moving forward. You can employ some of the skills that we learned today to ensure that the discussion moves forward. Everyone has a chance to speak. I think by now you realize how important it is to make sure all voices are heard and decisions are made with consensus. This is during a meet, right? Post a meet, follow up meet. In case a deliverable is there a follow-up meet scheduled? Is there a follow-up date finalized? Is the minutes of the meeting or discussions shared? These are a couple of things that you can think of post your meeting, right? With that, going into the last 10 minutes of today's call. So this last section, because I kind of went a little fast, I want to give like a quick glimpse of what we did. We went into what you should do ideally before a meeting, during a meeting, and post the meeting. Are you all clear on those aspects? Right? Definitely build on each of these things because these are just baselines, right? Cool. Finally, for this activity, we need, how many volunteers do we need? I think we need 5. I'm just trying to mentally count. Okay, we would need 5 volunteers, and ideally people, if you've not signed up or if you've not participated anything so far, like definitely this is a good chance to kind of see your space here. So 5 volunteers on the chat. Okay, Shubham, Mansi, Soumya, Akash.
Afsar had raised his hand. I'm not sure if it was for the same purpose.
All right, Afsar, did you want to be a part of this? All right. Okay, people, because we've had more than 5 people, is it okay if the first 5 take stage? Is that all right? All right, so it'll be Shubham, Mansi, Soumya, Neha, and Afsar. Cool. Okay, Sakshi, are we ready with the message? You can randomly choose who gets to play what role, and you will get a message from Sakshi now. And once the role play starts, the role play is for 7 minutes. We'll try to quickly just get a sense of it.
Could you please tell me, it was Shubham, Mansi, then?
Shubham, Mansi, Soumya, Neha, and Afsar.
All right. Done. I hope all of you have received messages on your chat box, the 5 of you. Okay.
You can take a minute to read through that. When we start, all of us, other than those 5, can go off video. What we will do is, at any point in time, there'll be one CTL in this activity who's facilitating it. At any point in time, if you feel like you want to jump in and start from where the CTL has left, like a freeze, right? You can just unmute yourself, say freeze, and you can start the discussion. Is that clear? Yes. Is every there is a huh?
And the name of the person too.
Yes, freeze and the name of the person. Cool. All right.
The rest of us can step into what the 5 of them will be discussing, is it?
No, ideally what the CTL kind of person is doing, right? The facilitator in that meeting, there'll be a person, you can kind of step in at any time into that role.
Okay.
Only the CTL role. You'll know who the CTL is.
Is that okay? Cool. And folks, after the activity is over, we'll immediately kind of close the call with that. As always, share your learnings on the WhatsApp group. Cool. We'll start the activity with that. All right. Are you all ready? 5 people. Can we go off video? We are. Cool. You can start.
So hi Mansi, Soumya, Neha, and Afsar. So today we are meeting to actually decide on one of the recruitments for the next in the next coming month. So in the next month we are planning to decide like how the recruitment is going on, when are we planning to conduct the recruitment, and when are we planning to conduct the recruitment, and how big or small this recruitment is going to be. So do you guys have do you guys have any suggestions on this?
Can I give?
Yes, Mansi, go ahead.
So as an HC fellow, I had something in my mind, if you all agree, that the academic year of the engineering colleges, we know that most of the volunteers we have is from college. So the next academic year haven't started yet, and I think that we should wait for the colleges to reopen so that we can start the recruitment drive and have some very volunteers which will be really helpful, and like the youth that we say. So what do you guys think on this?
So just to reiterate, you are mentioning that most of the colleges are going to start now, and probably we should focus more on the recruitments from those colleges.
Yes.
Yeah, so can I put ahead my points? I'm the shelter operations fellow in this. So I agree to what Mansi is saying, that most of our volunteers will be coming from colleges, and the colleges are yet to begin, right? But I was also wondering that, there'll be a significant gap if we don't, if we might wait for so long. Like it could happen that, it's the current volunteers that we have and everyone who's in the system, it would be difficult to keep them motivated during that break. And, even the children would be coming back earlier. So, they would want their classes to start. At least we can have maybe some of the classes starting, something on the priority, because children can, start their learning soon, because so that they are able to grasp, quickly. And then later we can have, more volunteers coming in from these engineering colleges when we are able to recruit.
Can I go next?
Yes, Neha.
So I am the TR fellow, and agreeing to what Soumya said and adding to what Mansi said, for youth, actually, we want to start with the sessions, because we all know for the 11th and 12th standard, we need, they're basically going to be starting with the colleges soon. So we can focus, along with the colleges, we can focus on corporate world, because we need kind of mature wingmen for the youth. So we can also start focusing on that.
Sorry to interrupt. I think, yeah, can we all come on video? All right. Cool. One thing that we kind of wanted to do now was, because it won't be fair, because all of us wouldn't have the time to kind of freeze and go on. It'll take some time to get the hang of it also. Just wanted to tell you all that we will continue this onto the next call. Is that okay? The start of the next call. Now that you all know how it's going to pan out, I'm sure the 5 people who started this activity are going to be like, we now know how it's going to pan out. But is that okay for you all? I mean,
Yes,
it is
please.
also important as a facilitator to see how time is running out and how you want to balance that, right? Cool. We will take it to the next call. Yeah, and like Sakshi mentions, you can prep better also for your roles.
Yep.
Cool. But however, just wanted to kind of get one or two highlights from people who acted today. How was it when nobody freezed, Shubham? Were you waiting for someone to come and rescue? Hello. Shubham, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Praveen, can you repeat that? I was not able to get you properly.
Yeah. I just wanted to understand how it felt. Not just you actually, like you all. How did it feel to do this?
So at start, I was not sure like how to start. Should I post the check-ins and all? Like, should it be a regular call or should I just focus on the components that was provided by Sakshi? So I thought that since it's a short call, so I thought of moving in that particular direction. And one other thing that also came into my mind was I was not sure who is playing that particular role. Like Mansi was the HC fellow. I was not aware whether she is the HC fellow or Sham is or Afsar is or. So I was not sure on what to do. So I just gave an open ending like this is supposed to do. And if you have any comments or something on those lines. So.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. Cool. Manjeet says you did a great job.
Thanks, Manjeet.
Right. So the idea behind something like this is also peer learning, right? To see how different people do it so that you are also exposed to different kinds of facilitation in itself. We will continue this hopefully in the next call. For today's call, yes, Manjeet.
Yes, Praveen. So I add just one thing to add that I was just noticing this throughout the call, how facilitation on Zoom is also a little different. And like few things that I noticed were how, you never hesitated to stop sharing screen so that everyone can see everyone. It gives a feeling of a meeting a lot better if it's not like if everyone's not sharing if it's not on the presentation. And how the camera is still a little like away from you, where we could see how your hand movements are, and how we could use getting off video and on video for attention. So I just wanted to so that everyone, because now for the first few months it's going to be online facilitation, so it will be good for us to observe all of this as well on how to get things done on Zoom and how we could use all the aspects. I'm sure we'll get better and better with each call. So just wanted to put it there.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice thought to kind of close the call with, folks. That's what I want you all to do. And do share not just your learnings on how the call was, but do introspect deeply on how you'll employ these different elements differently, right? So please do share that in the WhatsApp group. With that said, and Siddharth and Sakshi, do you have any closing thoughts?
I think you've summed it up perfectly, Praveen, and I don't want to take away anything from your beautiful facilitation. It was a beautiful session, very, very well facilitated, and everything that you did, everything that you spoke about, you've done that through the session, which I'm sure everybody would now, when they retrospect on it, they'll get an essence of it. So it was beautiful. Siddharth, over to you.
I thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it, Praveen. And we were explaining, but we were also role modeling. That was the beautiful highlight. And I'm sure everybody has so much of learnings. And what stood out for me is the art and the science you mentioned, and the way you gave the science behind the facilitation to everyone when they will be coping up with that. I'm sure thoroughly they will also, and steadily they will be working on the art of facilitation also. So good job, everyone, with the meaningful participation as well. And Praveen, fantastic. Very happy with this session.
All right. Thank you, folks. Thank you all for holding our community agreement so close. And